Hello everybody, welcome back. If you're new here, this is NIOS Made Easy. On this channel, we do subjects prescribed by the NIOS board for the secondary and the senior secondary classes. If this interests you, please take a moment to subscribe. Today we are doing chapter 8 from painting. This is for the secondary class. The chapter is Pioneers of Contemporary Indian Art. In this chapter, we are going to study the evolution of modern Indian art, and we are going to see 3 paintings. The first one is Hamsa Damayanti by Ravi Varma. Then we have Brahmacaris by Amrita Sher-Gil. We have the Atrium by Gaganindranath Tagore. A brief note on the evolution of modern Indian art. Indian art saw a decline in the 19th century and they were influenced by the British Raj. During this period, we saw significant works under the company school. Indian artists followed European techniques to do their paintings. The crafts and techniques of fresco and miniature paintings, which was unique to the Indian art history, were nearly lost. Miniatures were now replaced by European oil paintings. Towards the turn of the century, traditional Indian painting almost faded out. This was the time when Indian artists looked back at their heritage with positive approach and they moved on from the European colonial art. This was the time when Indian artists looked back to their heritage with a positive approach. The first painting is Hamsa Damayanti. This is done by the very famous Ravi Varma. It is an oil painting done on canvas and it was done in 1899. Hamsa Damayanti is one of the most famous works of Ravi Varma. This painting depicts Damayanti, who is portrayed as a very shapely and a graceful woman. She is seen to be wearing a beautiful red sari. In this painting, Damayanti is listening to the messages from her lover, Nala, and the story is narrated by a swan, that is Hamsa. The painting shows the love in her heart. We can see it through the sparkle in her eyes, glow on the cheeks, and this makes her look very fascinating. Oil colors have been used for this painting because of the Western influence that was there during this time, and it is seen in his paintings. More about Ravi Varma. He is one of the most celebrated artists in India. He is a popular and a significant artist. He was a prominent representative of the Europeanized school of Indian arts. He gained reputation for his water and oil color techniques. Ravi Varma is particularly noted for his paintings like Dushyanta Shakuntala, Nala Damayanti, and other episodes from the Mahabharata. He used oil colors in his work because of the Western influence in his paintings. He has shown excellence in the color combination and techniques. He provided a vital link between the traditional Indian art and the contemporary art, between the Tanjore school of art and the Western academic realism. So he provided that vital link between these two art schools. Ravi Varma is considered not just a great Indian artist, but also a great patriot. The next painting is Brahmacaris. This is again an oil painting done on canvas, done in 1938. It is done by the artist Amrita Sher-Gil. This painting shows her understanding of the Hindu faith. In this painting, you can see 5 male figures and the composition is a horizontal plane with the vertical placement of these figures. Stress has been laid on the variety of color of the bodies. If you can see the 5 male figures, each of them have a different body tone. The painting has a deep red background. The people are wearing white dhotis and there is a neutral foreground of greenish grey, which we can also see in this painting. The dhotis have varieties of whites. It's different. It still gives an impression of uniformity. In spite of these contrasting colors, there is calmness that can be seen in this composition. The calmness is maintained and the monotone of these colors are not disturbed. The off-white of the central figure with black and brown bodies against the red background shows her skill. She succeeded in expressing the simplicity of these young Brahmin boys as a symbol of devotion to the Hindu faith. A note on Amrita Sher-Gil. Amrita Sher-Gil was born to Sardar Umrao Singh Sher-Gil and Lady Antoinette, a Hungarian national. Her contribution in the field of art retains her unique position as the first lady of modern Indian art. She had her education in Paris. She was highly influenced by the post-impressionism artists like Modigliani and Gauguin. She came to India in 1921 and she drew inspiration from the exquisite little miniatures of Kangra and the frescoes of Ajanta. The figures she drew with expressions on their faces were all her own inventions. Amrita's paintings were not just reproductions of what she saw around her, but they were her visions, which was born out of coordination of color, design, and emotion. She visited to South India, and that inspired her to produce some of her most remarkable works, such as The Bride's Toilet, The Brahmacaris, the South Indian villagers going to the market, etc. The last painting in this chapter is the Atrium. This is a watercolor painting done on paper. It was done by Gaganindranath Tagore in 1920. This is a fine example of the Cubist influence in this painting. Cubism is the style in art where objects are represented by putting together geometrical forms, and we can see that incorporated in this painting. The painting shows a fine blend of light and it is created with a dramatic effect with colors. The whole composition looks like a combination of various geometrical shapes put together. This work could be easily understood as there is abstraction in the shapes. More about Gaganindranath Tagore. He was born in 1867 in the Tagore family. He was a contemporary Indian painter. He showed inclination towards the Cubist school in Europe. He developed his technique. His technique is a distinct style of his own and his own brand of Cubism. He developed this technique after a long period of experimentation. He was definitely a master of creating beautiful compositions. He painted images with a dramatic play of light and shade using geometrical forms and simplified figures. There was no artist at that time to experiment with this Western concept, and he did it. So he is still regarded as an artist who made several experiments. Now let's look at the important questions that have come in the previous year board papers. This is about the evolution of the Indian art. Write and brief the kind of art that evolved in the beginning of the British Raj in India. Write and brief what kind of art evolved after the company art declined in India. Indian art saw a decline in the 19th century and it was influenced by the British Raj. During the British period, the company school produced significant works. The Indian artists at that time followed European techniques in their paintings. The crafts and techniques of fresco and the miniature paintings, which were unique to the Indian art history, were lost. Miniatures were replaced by European Indian paintings, and towards the end of the century, the traditional Indian painting faded out. The next question is an essay on Raja Ravi Varma. Write an appreciative essay on Raja Ravi Varma. Raja Ravi Varma is the most celebrated painters in India. A popular and a significant artist of his time, he was prominent representative of the Europeanized school of Indian artists. He gained reputation for his water and oil color techniques. Raja Ravi Varma is popularly known for depicting episodes from the Mahabharata like Dushyanta Shakuntala, Nala Damayanti, etc. He used oil colors in his work. This is because of his Western influence in his paintings. He has shown excellence in the color combination and his techniques. He forms a vital link between the traditional Indian art and the contemporary art, that is between the Tanjore school of art and the Western academic realism. Raja Ravi Varma is not just a great artist, but he is also considered as a great patriot. The next few questions are on Brahmacaris. Describe the composition of the painting Brahmacaris. What European style influenced her in his painting? What European style influenced her in this painting? Write in detail about the compositional arrangement of the painting Brahmacaris. Write any 3 features of Brahmacaris painting. Describe the composition Brahmacaris. The answer is the same for all these questions. This is an oil painting done on canvas, done in 1938 by Amrita Sher-Gil. This painting shows her understanding of the Hindu faith. Here we can see 5 male figures. The composition is horizontal. The painting is composed on a horizontal plane, but the figures are placed vertically. Stress has been laid on the variety of colors of the bodies. The painting has a deep red background. The men are seen to be wearing white dhotis, and there is a neutral foreground of greenish grey which is seen in this painting. The dhotis have variations of white. They are different, yet they give you an impression of uniformity. In spite of the contrasting colors, there is calmness to this whole composition, and the calmness is maintained and it is not disturbed. The off-white of the central figure with black and brown bodies around against the deep background shows her skill. She has succeeded in expressing the simplicity of these young Brahmin boys who are seen as symbols of devotion to the Hindu faith. The next couple of questions are on Gaganindranath Tagore. Do you consider Gaganindranath Tagore as a cubist painter? Explain. Write an appreciative note on Gaganindranath Tagore. Write an essay on the development of the artistic style of Gaganindranath Tagore. And write a paragraph on his style of painting. Gaganindranath Tagore was a contemporary Indian painter. He showed inclination towards the Cubist school in Europe. He developed this technique, that is, a distinct style of his own technique and his own brand of Cubism after a long period of experimentation. He was a master in creating beautiful compositions. He painted images with a dramatic play of light and shade, and he used geometrical shapes and simplified figures. There was no artist at that time who was ready to experiment with this Western concept. He is still regarded as an artist who did several experiments, and an example of his Cubist style of painting is the Atrium. The next question is on Hamsa Damayanti. Explain the painting Hamsa Damayanti. What is the medium of Hamsa Damayanti? Who is the artist? Indicate his importance in Indian art. Hamsa Damayanti is done by Raja Ravi Varma. It is an oil painting done on canvas in 1899. Hamsa Damayanti is one of the most famous works of Raja Ravi Varma. This painting depicts Damayanti, who is portrayed as a shapely and a graceful woman. She is wearing a beautiful red sari, and in this painting, Damayanti is seen listening to the messages from her lover Nala, which is conveyed by a swan, that is Hamsa. The painting shows love in her heart. We can see it through the sparkle in her eyes, glow on her cheeks, and this makes her look very fascinating. Raja Ravi Varma has used oil colors in this painting because of his Western influence in his paintings. He is considered as a vital link between the traditional Indian art, that is the Tanjore school of art, and the Western academic realism. The next question is to write a note on Amrita Sher-Gil. Amrita Sher-Gil's contribution to the field of art retains her unique position as the first lady of modern Indian art. She drew inspiration from exquisite little miniatures of Kangra and frescoes of Ajanta. The figures she drew with expressions on their faces were all her own inventions. Amrita's paintings were not just reproductions of what she saw around her, but they were the visions that was born out of coordination of color, design, and emotions. Her works include the bride's toilet, the Brahmacaris, and the South Indian villagers going to the market. She is the youngest among the pioneers of the contemporary movement. This is the last question. Describe the subjects of Raja Ravi Varma. His paintings portray Indian mythology with heroines as his central figures. His paintings of Indian divinities are still seen in many homes and shrines. Many of his works are still seen on calendars and posters. Some of his noticeable paintings are Dushyanta Shakuntala, Nala Damayanti, episodes from the Mahabharata. He used oil colors. This was an influence of his Western paintings. He provided a link between the Indian Tanjore art and the Western art. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this video useful, please do give it a like. Request you to share it with your friends who might also benefit from this video. If you would like to see more such content, please do leave a comment in the comment section below, and please do subscribe to watch more such videos. Thank you again.